72 Dolphins. They're not unbeatable. This Alabama team is not unbeatable. I don't think anybody's even saying that. But it has the potential to be Nick Saban's best team because of the quarterback play. But the thing is, even with their flaws, your best player is arguably Cam Robinson. Now, he's probably not playing like it right now, but best long-term potential. And even he got beat by Derek Barnett, who may be the best defensive end in the league. And Derek Barnett even caused him to have a false start a time or two. But even with those flaws, and even with the fact that Jalen Hurts still hadn't found that deep ball, that's still the one part of his game, the intermediate to deep pass that he needs to improve. Even with those limitations, Alabama beat them 49-10. Now, Tennessee was missing this guy and that guy, and then Tennessee's defensive coordinator hilariously came out and said something like they ought to honor the officials. Alabama was penalized several times. Tennessee was penalized once. Once that whole game, their backup offensive line against the best defensive line in the country didn't hold. I mean, somebody's going to have to explain that to me. So, point is, after all that said and done, Alabama just destroyed them. And so I talked about it in the paper today that as an Alabama fan, don't worry about A&M this weekend. I'm not saying don't worry about them like they're not competition. I'm saying don't even think about it yet. Don't think about the Iron Bowl or LSU or the playoff. Don't think about that stuff yet. If you still got a cigar left, smoke it. Enjoy it. This is as good as it'll ever get. We've beaten Tennessee 10 years in a row. We just beat them by 39 points, the most that anybody's ever won in that rivalry since 1906. We put up 400 and some odd yards rushing on them, and it could have been worse. The only reason we didn't make it worse is because we scored twice, 2 non-offensive touchdowns. I'm just telling you, it's the best it's ever going to be. If you're an Alabama fan, soak it up, enjoy it, just continue loving it, and if the world ends tomorrow, we've had a good ride. If Texas A&M's win Saturday, hey, more power to them. I don't think they're going to do it. I'm just saying if they do, it doesn't mean this whole thing is lost. Everything's still going to be okay. We've got a true freshman at quarterback. We've got a true freshman getting a lot of carries at running back. We put Bo Scarborough in at the end of the game, and I'm pretty sure Bo's talented. We saw him in high school, but he's not the best at picking up blitzes. He's not the best at running the right out of the backfield, it seems like, and that's why he's not starting. But you saw the talent he had. And when somebody from Tennessee did have the angle on him, and they got up close enough to realize how big he was, that hamstring got pretty tight on him real quick, and he said, I don't think I want none. And so Bo just went on in and scored. It's the best we're ever going to have it. I just want Alabama fans to enjoy it.
800-782-0108, 256-234-6464. We're going to talk a lot about that game. We want to take your phone calls from that as well. Big week for Auburn this week, Luke, as they welcome in Arkansas, who's coming off a big victory over Ole Miss this past week. And Arkansas, for all of its hoopla and some of that not being good hoopla over the last year, I would say, in comparison to what we've heard from them in years past. They lose to Alabama, but they put up a lot of points. Quarterback was really good, even though he got hit a lot, still was able to make some plays. I think if anyone has potentially turned the corner, it's these two teams that will be meeting Saturday, and we'll know a lot more about each one of them. If Arkansas were to come into Auburn, with Auburn really feeling pretty good about themselves right now and win this game, you got to look to Arkansas and say, Billman may have this thing going in the right direction.
I'm not saying this to reverse jinx or anything. Arkansas has no chance in this game for a couple of reasons. First of all, Arkansas got beat up pretty good against Alabama, and then they played an Ole Miss team, and it was a very emotionally draining game. And now they're on the third end of a really bad trifecta for them, okay? Auburn had an off week. Auburn's going to run the ball. Arkansas can't stop the run. It's a bad combination. It just doesn't work well for Arkansas. This is not going to end well. And I think Austin Allen will put up some yardage because he is a good quarterback. He's probably the most accurate quarterback in the league over Chad Kelly, over Sean White. In terms of, don't just look at the percentage.
Yeah.
Look at how hard it is for him to be
and some efficient. Of the throws he makes.
Yeah, he makes very nice throws, and they have some weapons, but they don't have enough weapons. I trust Auburn's defense to stop them more than I trust Arkansas's defense to stop Auburn. Do you see what I'm saying?
We'll see.
And so that's what it comes down to for me. I think that line is about right. Everybody was so shocked that the spread came out at 8.5, 9. It's already gone up to 10, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went a little higher.
Still a little shocking for us Auburn fans. We'll see, though, on Saturday. Hopefully the corner has been turned. May not mean that Auburn will go into Alabama with just 2 losses by no stretch, but to think back to the way we were talking about Auburn only 2 or 3 weeks ago, it makes us feel pretty good as Auburn fans that potentially this thing could get somewhat better. 800-782-0108, 256-234-6464. A couple more minutes here on this opening segment. High school sports. Also, one of the key things that we do here with this program, Luke, if you're going to talk high school football, this is the week to do it. The final region play, a lot of great matchups going on out there. And when I look at both classifications, I can't pick a front runner in any of them. I really can't. And
7A.
Well, McGill-Tulane, I'm guessing, but we'll see. We'll see how their matchup is and if Hoover's playing better. And there's some other teams from up north that could potentially cause them. But I think about 6A, and I see Blunt this past weekend losing to Daphne and not losing to Daphne in close. I mean, they were able to come back and score some points late, but Kenny King has got that team at Daphne playing much better football than we've seen them play in the past few years. I can't pick a team there. I can't really look down in 5A and several of the lower classifications and pick one right now. It's a fun time of year to be a high school football fan.
It really is, and these next 2 weeks are going to be a lot of fun for sure. Oxford is one of those teams in 6A. Benjamin Russell, you saw him up close. They've got a linebacker named KJ Britt, so they've got a younger guy in the 2018 class that's going to be committing eventually.
Linebacker?
No, I think I believe he's an offensive lineman.
Okay.
Then they've got Opelika. Obviously, they defeated Wetumpka, but Wetumpka has come out of nowhere. And you were talking about they've got a sophomore quarterback that has got a lot of speed, very dangerous, kind of like Tyree Gray at Benjamin Russell last year you mentioned. And this Minor team, let me tell you, Minor is one of those teams you buy a ticket for. Okay? They played Clay Chalkville, and it was on TV. Very smart move by whoever decided to do that. I mean, it was the My 68 game of the week, whatever. And I'm talking, you can't stop Minor. You saw him again against BRHS. Clay Chalkville finally gets in the end zone. You're thinking, okay, maybe they have momentum. Minor has, 20 seconds before the half, and they just say, we're just going to throw it deep. We're going to keep throwing it deep until you do something to make us think we can't make it work. And guess what? It worked. They ended up winning that game 54-28. Clay Chalkville has, first of all, they're the defending state champs. Secondly, they've got Nico Collins.
Clay Chalkville lost.
Clay Chalkville lost.
Spanish Fort beat them last year.
Oh, they lost. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're defending state runner-ups.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They won it 2 years ago.
Yeah, they did win it 2 years ago. You're right. So, and point being, this Minor team, okay, they're going to get burned eventually because they don't have the special teams kicking. Now, the return game, they're pretty good. But the kicking, the punting, the extra pointing, the field goaling, they don't have that stuff. But they don't need it. If they keep putting up points like this, they don't ever have to punt. They fake punted against Benjamin Russell on their own 5. I've never heard of that.
They did it twice and successful in both. And both of them were well set up plays as well. We'll talk a little bit more about them. I did see them up close and personal last week. Let me say, not only is their football program exceptional, but there's very few times that I'm more impressed by somebody else's other program than I am the football team. Minor's band.
Yeah, you talked about
unbelievable. I mean, they really are, and I haven't been the only one to talk about that. But if you're up in the Birmingham area, I'm not telling you something you don't already know. 800-782-0108, 256-234-6464. We'll talk about high school football when we come back, talk about some key recruits here in the state, talk about some recruiting for Auburn and Alabama, maybe some kids here in the state that are turning some heads moving on into the year. We usually, in the first hour of the program, try to bounce around in the high school ranks as much as possible and then moving on in to a lot of college talk in the second. Got some great guests coming up in the second hour as well, so make sure to stay tuned here on Sportz Blitz Live.
Is our number one concern. Advanced Heat and Air.
Advanced Heating and Air makes your comfort their priority for any season. Advanced Heating and Air is the region's Trane dealer and an Alabama Power Superior Solutions dealer that can save you money and energy with a new electric heat pump. Advanced Heating and Air maintains the region's best service team, so rely on us to make your comfort our number one concern. Call 234-5052, and we're there for you.
The Sure Shot, located on Highway 280 in Alexander City, is Lake Martin Sportsman's headquarters. In the market for a new rifle or shotgun? Come to the Sure Shot. Want a new bow or need to practice with the one you have? Come to the Sure Shot. Thinking about a firearm for self-defense? Come to the Sure Shot. Got a hunt planned and need some gear? Come to the Sure Shot. For all your archery, shooting, and hunting needs, let the Sure Shot be your first stop.
If your New Year's resolution is to stop walking and start riding, then resolve yourself to run to Lake Martin Truck and Auto on Old Dadeville Road. Lake Martin Truck and Auto is the bank, and you don't need to worry about past credit, getting your tax money, or finding the ride that suits you, because Lake Martin Truck and Auto has the lowest down payments and monthly payments in the area with the best selection. Don't let the Slick City dealer take all that tax money or hassle you with credit. Lake Martin Truck and Auto, Old Dadeville Road in Alex City.
If you're seeing the American cockroach, throw up the red flag. Ladybugs, throw up the red flag. Ants and swarming termites, throw up the red flag. And kudzu bugs, throw up the red flag. That's Red Flag Pest Control. So the caution is on. Call Red Flag Pest Control today.
I'm Scott Davis with Red Flag Pest Control, celebrating our 10th anniversary. Call me today, 256-825-0430.
Over the years, S&S Tire has grown into the Lake Martin area's largest volume tire dealer. S&S Tire offers the industry's best brand names: Michelin, Goodyear, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Firestone, and much, much more. The tire pros at S&S offer professional installation and the region's best price. In addition to your tire needs, S&S offers full automotive mechanical work for all your vehicle maintenance and repair needs with the area's most experienced staff. Visit either of our 2 locations on Cherokee Road in Alex City or at South Street in Dadeville. At S&S Tire, we're installing peace of mind for every customer we serve. Every job, every day.
Ready to put some fun in your life? Whether it's Central or East Alabama, North Alabama, West Georgia, or wherever you're from, Fun Carts of Opelika is your authorized easy-go kart dealer that has no limits on a perfect easy-go kart. Whether it's a fully customized cart or a stock-made cart, we'll deliver it on time and at the best price. Fun Carts gives you the service after the sale, so no matter if it's hunting, tailgating, motorhoming, fleet rental, or just a better way to get around, Fun Carts of Opelika has it and will customize it to your needs. Visit us in Opelika or call us or visit online for the best easy-go carts. Put a little fun in your life with Fun Carts of Opelika.
This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Bice Motors in Alexander City. Brian and his crew offer the latest lines of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram vehicles, as well as the best used inventory around. Guaranteed lowest price. Bice.
Luke, let's run down how the top 10 fared this past week, talk about some of the key games that we feel like is coming up here in the upcoming week, and just talk about the playoffs and who we see in each of these classifications that have impressed us so far this year.
Well, the key games in 7A, obviously McGill-Tulane wins. I mean, they just that really goes without saying. I don't even think I need to tell you all that anymore. Hoover also won. Their only loss is to an out-of-state team in Texas who's very good. They beat up on Vestavia Hills 38-7. Now, Vestavia went 1-1 with them last year, so Hoover, again, reestablishing some dominance. Hewitt-Trussville, they're 9-0. They beat Huntsville pretty good. Central Phoenix City defeated number 8 Lee of Montgomery. And I think what was big about that game, you had Henry Ruggs playing for Robert E. Lee, and he looked strong. John Garcia was on our AHSA scoreboard show on Friday night, bragging on Henry Ruggs. He's posted some videos, highlights on Twitter. You should go check him out. He looks like one heck of an athlete. And then for Central Phoenix City, Markel Benton, he had another big game. They had a little funny thing going back and forth. You know how these kids, they wear gloves from different visits or towels or whatever. Henry Ruggs had an Auburn towel, and Markel Benton took it and threw it in the trash, and Henry Ruggs got it back, and they, yada, yada, yada. But just kind of fun recruiting stuff. James Clemens won. Enterprise won. Spain Park also won. That's a team that's a little tricky, is Spain Park. But one thing that made me think about Spain Park the other day, guess who the starting quarterback is for Southern Miss when they were playing LSU.
Yeah.
And Nick Mullins, I mean, he's been the starter for a while, but I just love seeing that guy do well because we called him in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. I thought he looked good. I thought he was the kind of kid that, you know, in different times, Alabama and Auburn would be salivating over him. He goes to Southern Miss, and I think he's pretty good. I really do. I think
agree.
He's a solid quarterback.
You know, you watch Cincinnati play, and you see, is it Hayden Moore that was at Clay Chalkville before Terrell Pigram took over, and Pigram now is really playing a lot of snaps there at Maryland, especially once they get in the red zone. I'm sure he's close to taking some more.
Their quarterback's hurt, so he had to play the rest of the game the other night against Minnesota. And I watched him the whole time. He's doing Ty Pigram things.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just doing the same stuff, and you can't really stop him. It's just that, you know, the chemistry wasn't there with the rest of the teammates.
Yeah, and he is one of those that if he would have ended up at, I think he throws the football around a little too good to go to Georgia Tech. But really even Auburn or somewhere like that, Luke, that wants to have a versatile quarterback that can throw it a little bit, he would potentially have been a perfect fit for a team like that.
Yes or no, you could see a little Damian Craig in him. You hate to say, that's who he reminds me of.
True.
He's probably a little faster than Damian Craig, but Damian Craig's probably a better quarterback.
Yeah.
Pigram may be a little shiftier, but you know, Damian Craig was great in his own right. Blunt ended up losing to Daphne, as you mentioned, and I thought that was a big loss, number one team in 6A. And then Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, they beat Brookwood 61-14. This team just keeps putting up points. I saw them in the Champions Challenge. They're going to move. I guess they're going to be number one tomorrow. I mean, I think they have to be. Oxford is undefeated. They beat Pill City, and Opelika defeated Wetumpka in an absolute classic. And again, this Wetumpka team, very impressive. You'll see them Friday.
I don't know what to say about 6A. I thought Opelika the first few times I saw them this year that if anyone could match up with them physically, I'd be surprised. But then Central Phoenix City, able to defeat them, seeing what Wetumpka did, knowing some of those teams that they'll have to match up with as the season moves on, how athletic some of those South Alabama teams are. Even Blunt, I know they lost, but even Daphne, some of these teams that I think would cause some issues that I really didn't see happening there the first part of the year. And Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, we haven't seen enough of them. We've seen them in other sports. You want to talk about a program, Luke, that's on the up and up in all sports, and that's good to see a public school there in Tuscaloosa doing well.
Yeah, and of course they have Brian Robinson, the running back that's committed to Alabama, and but you know, he wasn't the story. The quarterback was the story for Hillcrest Tuscaloosa when I saw him in the Champions Challenge. And I think that's been the way the whole season. I mean, Brian Robinson's still good, and he can do his thing, but they've got some frisbee-catching dogs on that team, and the quarterback just throws it up, and they go get it.
Yeah, but they've been good on the lines, thinking back to basketball as well. It's just a well-put-together program. It reminds me a little bit of what's going on in Huntsville in their public schools. Huntsville, you look up there in James Clemens, they've lost a couple of times, but a very talented team there. We got some nice matchups heading into the playoffs, and looking forward to being able to cover them.
Couple of other just big notes. In 5A, St. Paul's, they lost to Viger, the number 9 team. You just don't ever want to play Viger under any circumstance. I mean, I don't care if it looks like they're bad, if it looks like they don't return anybody. Viger's Viger, and you don't want to play them. They're just always good.
This minor team that you've been talking about reminds me of that Viger team that had Justin Fowler leading it. Fowler did all the kicking for what little it was. It didn't matter. They scored over 50, and I don't remember them even going for an extra point, and Fowler would kick it off and kind of flop it down to about the 30-yard line. It just did not matter.
Because you couldn't stop them, and they always stopped you. That was how it worked.
Minor right now, Minor's got one of the top athletes in the state.
Jalen Adams, he is incredible to me. I wish he were getting a little bit more publicity, but I don't know where he's going to end up, but wherever he ends up, he's going to do well. I just think he is a burner. Clay Chalkville had no chance again. I felt sorry for the defensive backs. He was running wide open because he was so much faster. They couldn't give him enough space. They would back up 15 yards, and he'd say, I'm still going to beat you on the post route. Easily.
Keith Mixon doing well at Mississippi State.
I love that.
I wonder if Adams would be a good fit for a team like that.
Again,
if Auburn and Alabama end up passing him up, which it looks like they are.
And it looks like they will. But, yeah, I think Mississippi State would be a good landing spot for him. You know, I can't understand why more Big Ten programs, why somebody like Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin has done a pretty good job. They got Bradrick Shaw from Hoover, and then they got Christian, his name escapes me, the linebacker, who transferred from Alabama. He ended from Hoover as well. But I don't see why Wisconsin or Purdue or Minnesota doesn't camp out in this state and say, you know what, I'm going to let Ohio State's going to go cherry pick in Florida, and so is everybody else. I'm going to find the diamonds in the rough here in Alabama, and we're just going to start beating some people.
You know, and I told you that when all of the camp issues were going on. I was more talking about the Jalen Adams because, trust me, Alabama and Auburn are going to get their fair share of our top talent or whoever they want. Probably could get that kid if they offered him. But if they don't want him, I'm with you. I mean, if there's a place to go, and Michigan's been able to pull a few, but wouldn't you want to go play up there?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if I were sitting here in this state and I had an opportunity to go play, because those teams are very competitive, very well coached. They play in a league that's going to play for a championship as long as they win enough.
That's right.
If you go to a program like that, I'm maybe not talking about a Rutgers or an Indiana, but I am talking about a Wisconsin, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, some of those programs.
Purdue, I'll tell you, there's rumors, or there were some rumors initially that Les Miles and Purdue, there's maybe some interest there because Les Miles went to Michigan, so kind of in the same area. Purdue's obviously got a job opening now, so that could be kind of funny. You wonder if Les Miles would use some of his Southern contacts now and draw some people.
You would think he would.
Yeah, because you know what? LSU has two guys committed, Neil Farrell being one of them out of Murphy, and then another defensive lineman, I wanted to say, oh my gosh, where is he from? But anyway, also in the Mobile area. So they've got two guys that Alabama wouldn't and Auburn weren't necessarily pushing for, but LSU just liked them a lot. The definition of a good defensive line recruit is somebody LSU wants, if you ask me. So I feel like if Les Miles were to go up there, he'd say, look, why don't we just go down to Mobile? They've got an airport. Let's fly down there and just go see everybody. Offer anybody that looks like they can carry a football because they're going to be talented.
Luke, this time of year, there's some recruits here in the state, and we'll just talk about the Southeast in general because we're talking about college sports also, but are there some recruits that have jumped up the list? I remember Marcel Darius being one of them several years back, but it's not that they come out of nowhere because they were already great athletes, but maybe they don't get the recognition that they get this time of year. Is there any that kind of jump out to you right now?
Well, I think Henry Ruggs is going to move up some lists, definitely. And LeBron Ray, he started out as a relative unknown, and he has quickly this season moved to the top of the best player in the state of Alabama. I remember in maybe July, one of the moderators for either an LSU or an Auburn board put out their
James Clemens, by the way.
Yeah, James Clemens in Huntsville. And so they put out their top 10 players. LeBron Ray wasn't on it. And then LeBron Ray has shot up so quickly, I think that he's going to be number one, the consensus number one in the state of Alabama. And this is a year, when you got a guy like Nico Collins, that's Nico Collins being recruited. He could go to anywhere he wants to go. So to be number one in the state this year is a big deal.
We'll continue to talk about that much more on the other side here on Sportz Blitz Live.
For years, textile was king here, the backbone of our economy. But textile and all the jobs left. Our region was threatened. Then the nearby Hyundai plant opened. Local parts suppliers created thousands of good-paying jobs. Automotive is now the backbone of our economy, thanks to Hyundai. At Hyundai of Auburn this week, 0%, no payments for 6 months, $149 leases, and $4,000 cash back. Great cars built by our friends and neighbors. Hyundai of Auburn, you really should compare.
In a world that's ever-changing, you have to be sure that your choices are the right choices. At Central Alabama Community College, you'll know you made the best choice. Whether choosing a technical degree program, taking courses to transfer to a four-year college or university, or being a part of our national championship winning traditions, get a sharper focus on your life by choosing one of our 3 convenient locations: Alex City, Childersburg, and Talladega. Central Alabama Community College. Central to you. Central to your success.
Don't you know there's no clean like Peaches and Clean?
Wow, your carpets look fantastic.
Yeah, thanks to Peaches and Clean.
They look new again.
They also clean my kitchen tile.
Simply amazing. I'm calling Peaches and Clean today.
Just call 502-5326. Oh yeah, they have an area rug cleaning facility too.
Peaches and Clean is now expanded to the Alexander City Lake Martin Market. Give them a call at 334-502-5326.
Call us up at Peaches and Clean.
Get the best seat in the house for every game this football season. Upgrade that old recliner for the comfort of FlexSteel from Holly's Home Furnishings. Stunning styles, incredible comfort, and FlexSteel's signature blue steel construction. At Holly's Home Furnishings, we offer a variety of different fabric and leather options, plus state-of-the-art power recliners. Come in and score big today with Holly's Home Furnishings' unbeatable selection and unbelievable everyday prices. Family-owned and operated Holly's Home Furnishings located in Alexander City and Montgomery.
You know, these Zaxby's fried pickles really take me back to Meemaw's kitchen.
Yeah, Meemaw really would have loved these. Is that a time machine?
Yep, and I brought Meemaw back with me.
That's not Meemaw.
Ooh, okay, let's get you back inside.
Better than Grandma's? Maybe. Indescribably good? Definitely. Fried pickles are back. Lightly breaded, fried to perfection, and served with ranch sauce. Try them before they're gone. Zaxby's.
When it's time to buy your teen's first vehicle, you think safety. Your teen thinks style. At Talladega Ford, we have style and safety. Ford has more 5-star safety-rated vehicles than any other car manufacturer. Ford goes that extra mile to make sure you are safe. Government safety standards are based on a 30-mile-per-hour crash. Ford goes a little further. We test our cars at 35 miles per hour. Come by Talladega Ford today so we can show you how safety and style go hand in hand.
This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Dark Insurance, offering insurance for all your personal needs, including auto, boat, homeowners, and disability. Don't be in the dark. Call Dark Insurance at 256-234-5026.
Plenty to talk about this time of year, Luke, but we'll definitely bounce back to the top topic, I believe, tonight. We've got a top couple of topics that we brought up in the opening segment, but I do want to get back to Alabama because in an 8 or 9 year span, there's been a lot of games to be impressed with. And there's been a lot of times that you go, this program may have separated themselves from just about everyone. 2011 was probably that year, even though they lose to LSU. Mm-hmm. The way they come back and win that championship game, I mean, you looked at it and went, that team didn't even deserve to be on the field with Alabama that night. That was one of the first times that my head was really turned. But right now, with what Alabama's doing, you just know y'all got to play bad. Things of it, even when you talk to Alabama fans, and this is the consensus that I get, unless we turn the football over, unless we give the opposing team some scores, and we can, don't get me wrong, we can do it, but unless that happens, I don't feel too bad about it. I feel pretty good about it. I mean, it's crazy to see where it's come to.
I mean, I couldn't feel any better about it. The only thing I fret over is what happens when Saban's gone.
Yeah.
The next guy is going to be walking. I mean, there are two schools of thought. The next guy's got these shoes to fill that you couldn't possibly fill. I mean, how do you follow probably the greatest ever? How do you do it? Ask Ray Perkins. It didn't work out too well. But the other side of it is whoever follows him is going to walk into a kitchen full of incredible ingredients.
Yeah.
Everything's already in place. You just got to keep it there. But the problem is, to me, that's the harder thing. Look, it's okay. Imagine you have this lot that's just overgrown junk and kudzu everywhere. It's pretty easy to just get on a mower or a scag or whatever and just go through and clear the whole thing out.
I got that coming up next week.
But then what becomes difficult is you got to start keeping it up every month. Like, well, it was just fun just destroying everything. And now I got to manicure the whole thing the whole time. Becomes a little bit more difficult.
And you also read your article, by the way,
about poison ivy.
Before I came in.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I was. I got to a point where I couldn't even cut anything anymore, and I got poison ivy on me pretty good, or thunderwood. I'd never even heard of that. Somebody said, "You get a hold of some thunderwood." I said, I hope not. I don't. But I'd never heard of that. But it's another term for poison sumac, apparently. So
okay.
I took his word for it.
Wow. If you're wondering what we're talking about, Lake Martin Living Pickup One, Luke kind of writes the close in that each week, and it's not about sports most of the time.
No.
But it's still, he's...
Slice of life.
It could be anything. It could
Yeah.
be about poison ivy.
You don't know what I mean. Sometimes I just sit down and some stuff just falls on the pages.
I don't know where we were before we jumped off into.
No, the point is who's going to follow Saban and yada.
Yes.
But look, I don't know, and Saban may be here 5 more years. He may be. He may be only here 1 year. I don't know. The man is not human. He's a cyborg. We've determined that years ago. So he doesn't have human emotions. So you don't know. He may just need a battery recharge eventually. I don't know. But I think that I go back to I want Alabama fans to really enjoy this last victory. And if you didn't, I was upset with myself that I didn't get to go. You know, if you watch the show, you know we just had a baby girl, my wife and I. So I'm not going to get to go to as many games this year. But and so I was watching the game. I was thinking, gosh, I wish I was there. That'd be so much fun. But I got this morbid pleasure out of watching the faces of Tennessee fans as Eddie Jackson returned that punt return, and they did the surrender cobra and the surrender dab. There was a new surrender dab where they just all put their heads down like that. And then this one guy it was the best picture of all. This one guy at the end, when Bo Scarborough ran his touchdown, he's looking off into space. You know, the camera's on him, but he's not looking at it. He's got sort of a semi-mustache, and he's got a 1998 national champions hat on. And I was thinking, you know, they used to. This is what living in the past is. I mean, and the best part of Tennessee's whole day was Peyton Manning's being in the booth.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it didn't bother me because Peyton Manning transcends the rivalry. Peyton Manning is SEC royalty to me.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm cool with. I want to hear what Peyton Manning has to say. I don't hate Bo Jackson. I like Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
He's SEC royalty. I mean, I get that. So I can always listen to Bo or Peyton or whatever, even though no matter who they played for. But to have Peyton Manning in the booth for 3 segments and be talking over key points of the game, it was only 14-0 at the time. I mean, I thought that was a little much on CBS's part.
They were taking advantage of it.
They were, I get it, and I don't mind having him for a segment. But I was thinking, you know, what's next? Why don't you invite Cam Newton on up there?
Let me tell you what's going through my mind as I sit here and I think about who's going to replace Nick Saban. I know this is crazy to sit here and talk about at this point in time because Bama fans, and I'm one that sits here and believes, what in the world is this guy going to do to replace the feeling that he has of accomplishment right now? Because he may not act like it. And most guys that are that way, and you know, I'm not saying I know anybody as successful as him, but a lot of guys I know that are successful, it's because they're so driven that even something really good happens to them, the last thing they're going to do is talk about that because they got to figure out, they got to get that high again. So they got to figure out how to go and make it happen. What in the world is he going to do to replace the potential of what he's got the next 5 to 7 years there at Alabama? You know what's going through my mind though? Kirby Smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, you want to figure out how the cupboard can be full, and you feel like there's no way. He's been around this guy. A lot of the tutelage that he has given off has got to have fallen in this guy's lap. He's got to know how to run a practice, got to know how to run a coaching staff. And then you watch him over at Georgia right now, and man, they look gone.
I don't give him a pass for losing to Vandy because they never should lose at home to Vandy, okay? But I'm saying I understand. I'm not trying not to give Kirby a pass. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. They shouldn't have lost the game. However, I think he has to get some of the old regime off of them. I mean, Saban lost to La Monroe that first year. The catch is you can do it the first year. I think Kirby Smart lose to Vandy this year. Go to the Belt Bowl.
You cannot compare that Alabama program at that time to where Georgia is.
That Alabama was much worse. You're right, talent-wise. However,
potential-wise, Alabama's always got the potential.
I think, but okay, one thing he has to do at Georgia. You're right. Alabama does always have the potential, and Alabama fans know how to win and say what you want. I think that helps create an aura of success which permeates the program.
Of course.
Meanwhile, Georgia doesn't know how to win. They hadn't won a title since Herschel Walker took them to one in the early 80s.
But they have been a consistent winner.
They've been moderately consistent, and I would say if you can say winner, I'm going to say underachiever. They've had some years where they went 6-7 with AJ Green.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking at it like, look, Georgia doesn't know collectively as a whole program, including the fans, coaches, whatever, how to win yet. So I'm not giving Kirby a pass. I'm just saying the whole program doesn't know how to win yet. So this year I'm going to say, you know what? Go to the Belk Bowl or Liberty Bowl or whatever you're going to do. This team wasn't going to win a championship. If you watched them play, they scratched and clawed to get a win against Missouri. They do everything they could.
They're not good.
But let me say this.
And we could lose. Don't get me wrong.
That's
we could
true.
lose to them next.
Because they may be better by the time they play Auburn.
But they've been bad all year.
That is true. What if, though? Here's how college football can turn, especially for a team with a fragile state of mind like Georgia, like LSU, like Auburn. You look at or Tennessee. Look at how, if Tennessee didn't have all their injuries going into, they did everything they could wrong at A&M, still almost won, went in overtime. But they were this close to losing to Georgia, that close to losing to Georgia. What if the 1 second the snap had gotten off against LSU and Auburn? Les Miles wouldn't be fired. It may be Gus Malzahn that's been fired. No. And I would be willing to say, I bet you Auburn didn't go to Mississippi State and win, or at least not win like that.
Sure.
It changes everything. So that one Hail Mary was a soul crusher. That's why I would worry about Tennessee the rest of the year. Everybody's like, well, they're definitely going to rematch Alabama. First of all, they lost Alvin Kamara for another 2 to 4 weeks, apparently, maybe even for the year, because he busted up both knees this past weekend. And they still have all their other injuries. And Nick Saban stole their souls. So I don't know that they're going to beat a Missouri. I don't know that Tennessee's going to beat a Kentucky. Kentucky's going to put everything they got on it. They're going to say, this is our bowl game.
But my eye test right now puts Kirby very, very close to what I see Will Muschamp.
Okay.
I'm not going to get him there yet.
Will Muschamp has
Let's wait.
He has a resume.
He's got a resume
that is craptastic.
But what he has done with this offense to this point at Georgia, with some pieces, Luke.
He's got a true freshman.
He went to South Carolina with a true freshman. Fine. Y'all got one too, by the way. And I know it, but don't even. There's no way Jalen Hurts, if he goes and starts for Georgia, throws for 11 yards, or has zero offensive output against South Carolina.
I know.
If you just ring him out there with 5 plays and just say, how about going and running these? He don't come away with 11 yards.
And you know I love Jalen Hurts, but my point is, and Gary Danielson made this, he's got the benefit of saying, I can take some chances, I can do some things, because if I screw it up, my defense is probably still going to stop you. True. And see, Georgia can't do that yet. They don't have anybody that's taken the reins, and that includes Kirby Smart. Nobody has taken the reins and said, Kirby Smart, I thought the most disappointing thing wasn't necessarily losing to Vanderbilt. The most disappointing thing to me was what he said afterwards. He was like, it's disgusting, and I'm sick to my stomach. I think that would have been the time to say to your team, you know what, we're coming back from this. We're going to come back as a team, not get down in the muck with everybody else in the media and try to point fingers. Try to say, I'm going to pick this team up. And that's where I thought Kirby Smart failed his team. But we'll see. I mean, they've got, Georgia's got the talent. I would stack Georgia's roster up with just about anybody's. The question is chemistry. And they don't have a leader, and they don't have chemistry.
You just said it.
Yeah.
You just agreed with me.
I agreed with
you.
Agreed. I agreed in the sense of if Kirby still has time to figure out how to do that. Will Muschamp's already proven to me he's not going to do that.
I agree. 800-782-0108, 256-234-6464. Love to hear from you. Several guests coming up in the second hour, so stay tuned in to Sportz Blitz Live.
If you've been putting off that new heating and air unit in your home because of the upfront expenses, Williams Plumbing of Alexander City now has primary financing from Synchrony and can now install brand new heating and cooling systems with zero down, longer terms, and a competitive rate. Call Williams Plumbing at 256-329-8488 and get a free quote and terms and upgrade up to $35,000 in work with approved credit. Williams Plumbing stands behind their work with on-time affordable service for all your heating and air needs, as well as plumbing for zero down financing and great service. Williams Plumbing.
Auburn Opelika has that perfect something for you. From sophisticated chic boutiques to exceptional dining, there's a retail or restaurant to make your next visit special. Whether it's elegant fine dining or freshly squeezed lemonade, you'll find the perfect fit for every taste and budget. The food's great and the shopping is too, so be sure to check out the wide array of gifts, decor, clothing, and more. For every occasion, Auburn Opelika has what you're looking for. Let's make your next trip memorable. Visit Auburn Opelika.
At U.S. Ameribank, there's something very different at the heart of what we do and who we are. It's a spirit that also defines our neighbors, local businesses, and communities. Building on our 116-year history in Alabama, U.S. Ameribank provides something found nowhere else: craft banking. It's an unwavering commitment to handcrafted banking solutions that turns customers into enthusiastic fans. Visit usameribank.com or your local branch to discover the U.S. Ameribank difference. U.S. Ameribank. Banking on values. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
No pest is too big or too small for Lex Wedgeworth Pest Control. Protect your home or business today from insects, termites, mosquitoes, and more. Lex uses the latest state-of-the-art technology and equipment to solve your pest problem, including the environmentally friendly Centricon termite baiting system. Lex has been servicing the Lake Martin area for over 35 years and has a full staff on hand. Call Lex today, even if it's just a question, at 256-234-6162. Lex Wedgeworth Pest Control. Smart solutions to your pest problems.
Russell Do-It Center and Russell Building Supply is locally owned and operated with over 30 years experience providing a wide array of lumber, building materials, hardware, electrical and plumbing supplies, paint, tools, and garden products. Our employees' superior product knowledge and top-notch customer service allows us to help select the best products that will work for you. We provide free product estimates and takeoffs, free local delivery, and ask about our price match promise. Russell Do-It Center and Russell Building Supply. Experience and knowledge from the pros.
Listen up. Save over $10,000 on Ram 1500 crew cabs during Ram Power Days. Lake Martin's Ram Truck Headquarters.
Buy it at Bice.
BiceChryslerDodge.com. You better hurry. It's the Jeep Celebration event with the biggest savings of the year on every new Jeep in stock.
Drive in for the savings.
Drive out with the win.
BiceChryslerDodge.com.
Luke, our players of the week from this past week, some really great names that we've seen here in the state of Alabama, some that we've heard all year. By the time you get to week 9, a lot of these have already made a name for themselves. And one that I'll start with is our Sportz Blitz Lee County Player of the Week. He's from Opelika High School, Jaleel Hurd, an outstanding senior receiver, had 164 yards on 6 catches and scored 2 touchdowns, including the game-tying 77-yard grab in Opelika's 38-37 win over a very game Wetumpka team this past week on the road at Wetumpka. So congratulations to Jaleel Hurd from Opelika High School.
The Alabama National Guard Sportz Blitz Lake Martin Area Player of the Week is Alex Thomason from Sylacauga High School. He had 35 rush attempts for 366 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 49-34 loss to Central Clay County. That's, I mean, it's, 10, 11 yards a pop isn't so bad.
Wow. Big numbers right there. I'd like to see some of those from Central Clay because they got some great athletes over there too. I'll move over to our AHSA Radio Network Player of the Week. Brought to you by Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply Stores is Sam Kimmel from Randolph School. He returned back-to-back kickoffs for TDs and also scored twice on interception returns covering 75 and 35 yards respectively to give him 4 non-offensive touchdowns and Randolph's win. Don't know if I've ever heard of that.
That's Randy, you think about the records that have been set this year. We had a guy, the kid from Bob Jones, that had 2 99-yard rushing TDs. In the same game.
Was it Ardarius Stewart a few years back that had he either broke the kickoff return mark or it was some type of punt return. Was it him or was it someone else?
Listen, if it wasn't him, it'd be shocking because he was Fultondale.
He was.
I mean, he did everything he could.
You see it now. He's still.
He's tough.
He may not be the best athlete on the field for Alabama, but he's close. You could put him in the argument.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The LMG Montgomery Area Player of the Week is Zeron Haney from Jeff Davis High School. He was 16 for 20 passing for 252 yards and 5 touchdowns. He added a 27-yard TD run in the 41-29 win over Prattville. And you know, no offense to Jeff Davis, but what in the world has happened to Prattville?
I don't know. It's shocking to see. I don't think if you'd have told us a decade ago or even 5 years ago that they'd be where they are, any of us would believe. Moving over to the East Alabama Player of the Week, brought to you by the Alabama National Guard, which is nationalguard.com/AL. Malik Lyons from Chambers Academy, combined for 377 total yards, had 2 punt returns for touchdowns, also scored a rushing touchdown and threw a touchdown. Finished with 188 yards rushing on 12 carries. So congratulations, Chambers Academy's Malik Lyons.
And Central State Bank Shelby County Player of the Week is Alex Reese from Pelham High School, the 2015-16 Shelby County Co-Player of the Year and recent member of the U.S. Select Team that took part in the 2016 Adidas Eurocamp, has committed to play basketball for Avery Johnson at the University of Alabama. He's a fantastic player, and Alabama getting him and Herb Jones. They got another kid out of Mississippi here recently too. Looking for a couple other big names like Colin Sexton out of Georgia, and then of course Mr. John Petty in the Huntsville area. Crossing your fingers.
Let's don't skip by that too quick. I mean, Auburn and Alabama right now doing exceptionally good job on the recruiting front. Probably Alabama's had some moments where you felt pretty good about it, Luke, but not to where I'm seeing both programs right now.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. In fact, I would say there is a very good chance both could end up in the top 10, at least top 12, which would be nationally, which would be absolutely amazing.
I'm lost for words that we'd ever say that. Our AISA Player of the Week, brought to you by Lyman Warden Military Academy, founded in 1898 in Camp Hill, Alabama. We enjoy working with them. Adrian Leonard from Lee Scott Academy. She had 25 assists, 10 aces, and 8 digs to lead the Lady Warriors volleyball team to the AISA Final Four. So congratulations to Adrian Leonard.
And we got a phone call, Randy. Let's go ahead and get it. Hey, caller, you're on Sportz Blitz Live. Go ahead, caller. Okay, they must have left us. Well, you know, they got to wait on the Players of the Week just like everybody else.
Well, we'll try to get that caller back on in the second hour of the program. Got a great guest coming up next, so make sure to stay tuned here on Sportz Blitz Live.
It's time to zero in on huge savings at Lynch Nissan of Auburn. 0% financing is back in a big way on many of your favorite Nissan models, but only for a limited time. Buy today and save up to $11,000 off MSRP on remaining 2016s as we make room for the 2017s. Get up to $7,000 off MSRP on the new Altima SL or 0% for 72 months. Just click it and pick it now at lynchnissan.com. Lynch Nissan of Auburn, I-85 and exit 51.
So, you may not know it, but you've seen our work everywhere. For a combined 50 years, SignSource has been Central Alabama's premier option for all your sign needs. Custom signs for your business, club, or organization. Wraps and decals for your vehicle or boat. Full-color banners for your big sale, or a photo collage on canvas for grandma. All with fast, friendly, prompt service. Check out our website at signsourcenow.com. 888-533-6758. Go straight to the source. SignSource.
JR Sports Bar and Grill. Mondays, all you can eat fingers, $13.25. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, all-you-can-eat wings, $12.25. Every day, kids in uniforms eat for $1.99. Alabama Street in Alexander City and Highway 280 in Sylacauga.
Lyman Ward Military Academy in Camp Hill, Alabama, known worldwide for programs and outstanding facilities designed to prepare young men for future success. Young men who are academically prepared for a rapidly evolving economy, morally prepared through character development and spiritual guidance, physically challenged by preparing for athletic competition, and prepared to be leaders in their careers through the structure of military discipline. Lyman Ward Military Academy, over a century of preparing youth for the work of life.
I'm attorney Dane Sharp. Here at my office, we want to be different than the big city billboard lawyers. We want to give your case the personal attention that it deserves. We handle auto accidents, tractor-trailer accidents, and other cases where our clients have been injured and need personal legal attention. To me and my staff, you will not just be another number on the case file, and we will return your phone calls. So if you've been injured, give me a call today or visit us on our website.
This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Satterfield on Highway 280 in Alex City. Satterfield is the Lake Martin area's Big Green Egg and Accessories headquarters.
Welcome back into Sportz Blitz Live. Thanks for being with us, Luke Robinson. Riding solo for just 1 minute as Randy Lee is going to take a little break, and I'm going to interview Mr. Christian Corona, who is a data analytics consultant for 24/7 Sports, and he wrote a very interesting article about Mr. Jalen Hurts, the quarterback for Alabama. Now, this was last week before the Tennessee game, but there were some very, very intriguing things in this article, and I want to talk to Christian about them. Christian, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, Luke. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for being with us. So you talk more on a national level, right? You don't necessarily just cover Alabama or the SEC. You do different data analytics consulting articles for teams all over the United States. Is that correct?
That's correct. And Alabama is, of course, included in that national landscape. So that's sort of where the Jalen Hurts idea came about last week.
Okay, so you had this article last week, and you were really talking about how Jalen Hurts has a chance to break several University of Alabama records. How did that model change that you used, how did it change after the Tennessee game?
Well, so Jalen Hurts obviously did a lot of damage on the ground. He had 132 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, and that was something that he had, of course, displayed time and again going into the Tennessee game. So basically, I do have a model that projects the outcome of every game, every week in the FBS, all the way from Alabama down to North Texas. And so I developed, along with that, a methodology to project the rest of a player's season stats so that I could take a look at Jalen Hurts and what he might do. He'd only had 6 games under his belt. This was his 7th, and so without a whole lot of, with the sample size not being that big, I wanted to take a look at players who had similar starts to their seasons in the past, going back to 2000, and using how their seasons went to project how Jalen Hurts would do. The fascinating thing that I found is that he had a chance to accumulate enough yardage to break the total yardage record that Blake Sims had set, and even take a crack at the single season record for total touchdowns that Blake Sims also has.
Okay, that is very interesting. And did this last game against Tennessee, did that improve his stock to do all those things? I mean, I know his passing yardage wasn't great, but his rushing yardage certainly was.
Yeah, so it did what you would expect. It helped the rushing projections, and it hurt the passing projections a little bit. So one thing that the methodology also takes into account, it adjusts for opponents. And obviously, playing in the SEC, you're going to face a lot of great defenses. In Alabama, these last 5 games, it's going to be no different. Those 4 remaining SEC opponents have above-average defenses, particularly LSU, and particularly LSU's run defense. So as of right now, I ran the numbers again just before coming on here, and the new projections has Jalen Hurts racking up 3,145 total yards and 28 total touchdowns. That's a little bit down from I believe it was about 3,330 touchdowns or so that I had projected him to have a couple of weeks ago, but it does still put him well within reach of those Blake Sims numbers from 2014. Blake Sims having 3,837 yards and 35 touchdowns that year. And the last thing to remember is that the way Alabama is playing, they have an excellent chance of playing in the SEC championship game. And whatever numbers Jalen Hurts would put up in that would, of course, go towards his efforts towards breaking those records.
And you have this model which predicts each game. I'm just curious what it has for Alabama Texas A&M this weekend.
So Alabama is a huge favorite. I think the last I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 16.5 or so?
It's gone up to 18.5.
18.5. The model has Alabama blowing that away. I believe it has Alabama winning by almost like 30, 40 points or something like that.
Wow.
And and that might seem, even a little bullish, but by the most optimistic fans' perspective. But this was an Alabama team that was projected to do about the same thing to Tennessee last week, and we all saw what happened there. And with the way that Jalen Hurts has been playing, the way the defense has been playing, I believe it's 10 non-offensive touchdowns this year, which is just mind-boggling. So those are just a couple of the reasons why the model has seen Alabama's body of work this year, and despite A&M having the season that they're having so far, it does have Alabama winning by a wide margin this week.
And actually, I think it's 11 non-offensive touchdowns for Alabama, and I saw a stat before I came over here tonight, and the next closest team only has 5. That's pretty. You're absolutely right. I think the term mind-boggling it does come to mind. How does the model use or take into account things like it's 18 to 22-year-old kids, so you don't really know what you're going to get week to week, or is it all very, very mathematical?
It is all mathematical, and one thing to remember when you are in my position trying to use numbers and statistics and analytics to gauge how these games are going to go and how the rest of these players' seasons are going to go is that there are certain things that you can't measure. And what you try to do is you try to measure the things that you can to the best of your abilities. So there is, of course, going to be some variability in there. Like you said, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids. And, Jalen Hurts being a freshman, he's on the younger side of that range. So, I think that's the great thing about college football, and it's, to be honest, one of the reasons why I love to do this analytics work in the college football space is because it is that unpredictable. It's such a challenge to predict what is going to happen. And using analytics to estimate these kinds of things, you can only take so much into it. It does see that Jalen Hurts has had a spectacular freshman season to date, and it expects him to do good things going forward.
You have another article that's come out this week, and you're giving out mid-season grades, I suppose. Talk about that article and where people can find it.
Sure. Well, if you go to 247sports.com, I don't know what is up readily at the home page right now. If you just Google 24/7 Sports, Christian Corona, my author page should be the first thing that comes up. And the 2 articles that I posted today are the first 2 things on my author page. So one of the things that I do every week is I look back at the prior week to see which teams had the best performances according to a stat that I created, game score. It's sort of like if you're familiar with the game score stat that the baseball statistician Bill James came up with to evaluate pitchers. I think back in the 1980s is when he kind of popularized that, and I sort of applied that concept to the way that college football teams play. And it's on a 0 to 100 scale where 50 is average. And last week, West Virginia clobbering Texas Tech. That was the most impressive performance of last week.
Wow.
And West Virginia happened to also be among the biggest midseason surprises, with them currently being undefeated in a sort of crowded Big 12. Virginia Tech, Colorado, Western Michigan, also among those big midseason surprises. As far as Alabama goes, Alabama is the number one team in my model's rankings. That didn't make the midseason surprises, as you might have guessed. But that's sort of what the latest work I've done has been.
Christian, are you a big college football fan yourself, or are you just fascinated with the way you can manipulate these numbers and put them into a formula and see what comes out?
Both. Very, very, very much both. I've been a huge college football fan for as long as I can remember, and I've also loved for a very long time as well.
Christian, you're fading out on us right there, but we've got to go to a break anyway. Listen, we truly appreciate your being with us. Thanks so much. We hope to have you on again soon. I'd love to get the predictions from your model on who's going to end up making the playoff, et cetera, and we'll talk to you about that later, okay?
That sounds great, Luke. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. That was Christian Corona. Really cool stuff to be able to work with numbers like that and figure out exactly who do you think is going to win the game. I saw a percentage where his model picks out against the spread about 60%, which isn't bad when you're going against the spread. But anyway, Christian Corona from 24/7 Sports did a fabulous job. I appreciate his being on. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sportz Blitz Live.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
At U.S. AmeriBank, there's something very different at the heart of what we do and who we are. It's a spirit that also defines our neighbors, local businesses, and communities. Building on our 116-year history in Alabama, U.S. AmeriBank provides something found nowhere else: craft banking. It's an unwavering commitment to handcrafted banking solutions that turns customers into enthusiastic fans. Visit usameribank.com or your local branch to discover the U.S. AmeriBank difference. U.S. AmeriBank. Banking on values. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, I'm State Farm Agent Karen Chanel. I specialize in helping families and individuals like yourself in the Alexander City and Lake Martin communities. With over 20 years experience with State Farm and a dynamic team of licensed professionals, I am committed to helping you manage the risk of everyday life. And we not only consider it an honor, but a privilege to assist you in meeting your insurance and financial services needs. Whether you call in, click in, or walk in, I sincerely look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Refrigeration is Central East Alabama's Alabama Power Superior Solutions dealer. With rapid response time and on-budget pricing, we're Central East Alabama's and the area's authorized Goodman Heating and Air dealer. We make your peace of mind easy and give you peace of mind when it comes to your heating and air needs. As a Superior Solutions dealer, Jackson Refrigeration can help save you money and energy with a new electric heat pump. Jackson Refrigeration works on all existing brands and units and has the team to solve your heating and cooling needs, no matter the season.
And I know when I need it, I can count on you. Like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh.
You can count on the caring caring team at Brown Nursing and Rehabilitation. Our services include physical, speech, and occupational therapy. Brown Nursing and Rehabilitation, 256-329-9061.
In a world that's ever-changing, you have to be sure that your choices are the right choices. At Central Alabama Community College, you'll know you made the best choice. Whether choosing a technical degree program, taking courses to transfer to a 4-year college or university, or being a part of our national championship winning traditions, get a sharper focus on your life by choosing one of our 3 convenient locations: Alex City, Childersburg, and Talladega. Central Alabama Community College. Central to you, central to your success. This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Alex City Marine, the Lake Martin area's premier new and used boat and motor dealership. Find out more at alexcitymarine.com.
Luke, I'm going to run down some stats. Auburn and Arkansas this Saturday. Huge game for both programs, I believe. Arkansas currently ranked number 17. Auburn jumps up on an off week to number 21. But Auburn's 4-2, 2-1 in the conference. 5-2 for Arkansas, but 1-2 in the conference. A couple of numbers that really jump out to me, though, are on the defensive side of the ball for Auburn. 30th overall in the country, 5th overall in the conference in total defense, only allowing 346 yards per game. The big stat for me, though, that Auburn has changed, and it's mind-boggling to me, 10 points differential between points allowed last year to points allowed this year. Auburn's gone from right at 27 points per game allowed last year down to 16 points per game, which is 11th nationally, 4th in the conference. You hope as an Auburn fan this continues throughout the rest of the season, at least numbers like this. But it's not I expected us to be better, but you never know until you change things around this much, Luke.
Let's go ahead and take a phone call really quickly. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I want to speak with Luke a minute.
Go ahead.
Luke, I agree with you on that. I was watching that game, Saturday, Tennessee-Alabama game, and the way they came in with Peyton Manning in the heat of the game like that, it kind of like threw everything off as far as I was concerned, because I watch Alabama games pretty intensely, if you know what I'm talking about. But my question tonight would be, Nick Saban, he stick with that Bo Scarborough, and he started him, and I think the results going to pay off in the future. That big running back. What you think about that? I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Thank you for the phone call. Here's my thoughts on Bo Scarborough. I love his coming in as mop-up role. I trust Damian Harris more. I trust Josh Jacobs more. I know Josh Jacobs had a fumble on the goal line against Arkansas, but I remember Bo Scarborough's fumble against Ole Miss, and if there hadn't been a very aware Jonah Williams jumping on that ball, I think it was Jonah Williams that jumped on it, that could have been bad, because that was towards the end of the game when Alabama was trying to salt it away. And I think that's part of the reason you hadn't seen Bo quite as much since that Ole Miss game. I love Bo Scarborough coming in late because of what he can do in terms of he's a north-south guy. Mm-hmm. You tell him to go to that hole, he's going to run through it, and he's probably going to barrel over some people. But if they've got a complex blitz coming and it's 3rd and 12 and you're up 3 or down 3, I don't want Bo back there blocking, to be honest, right now. I want Damian Harris back there or Josh Jacobs. I trust both of them more. But Bo is the best athlete of the bunch. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And you could see the look on Tennessee's faces when they put Bo in there late and he busts off an 85-yard run. And as I said earlier, the guy who did have an angle on him maybe could have caught him. He just all of a sudden came up lame right when he got there about the time to tackle him. It's sort of, I did the analogy to a dog chasing a car. It's fine. The dog can bark all it wants to, but if he ever caught that car, what's it going to do with it? And I think that's what that Tennessee player thought.
Offensive line play for Alabama's been really good.
I said earlier that Cam Robinson has the potential to be the best player. He's probably been the one that's not looked as good. I tweeted this the other day. The game doesn't start until Cam Robinson has a false start. Jonah Williams has been incredible. I thought Lester Cotton played really well. Pierce Bacher had a great block on Bo's long run. I think the offensive line's been okay, but again, that's one of those areas that can get better, just like Jalen Hurts throwing the deep ball. That's something that can get better. And I think that's why you're seeing Calvin Ridley have less of a year than he had last year, because Jake Coker, could uncork it.
He could.
Now, he didn't start getting that the connection until, say, the Georgia game, because that's when things got rolling for Alabama last year. But so maybe Jalen Hurts just hadn't had the game where he's figured out, okay, I can throw it deep, and if just relative accuracy. You don't have to be on the money with these guys. Darius Stewart will go get it. Calvin Ridley will go get it. But you just have to put it in the neighborhood. And right now, Jalen Hurts has had trouble doing that with the deep ball. But going back to Auburn and Arkansas for a minute, the Auburn defensive turnaround has been one of the stories of the league. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Now, the question becomes, and again, I'm trying to be Bammer devil advocate here. Is it that the defense? I think definitely the defense has turned around, but is some of it that Clemson? Auburn's gotten a lot of credit for the Clemson holding them down, but you know what? I watched them against NC State. NC State was holding them pretty good.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be holding them pretty good. What is going on with Clemson? And then LSU was just a cluster when they played Auburn. I mean, they couldn't get – they had Darius Geis, who looks like the best running back in the league right now, and I don't know that he touched the ball against Auburn, maybe once.
No, he had one big run. I don't think he touched it but like 4 or 5 times, but he had the big gain down probably a 50 or 60-yarder.
Well, I know that Leonard Fournette had one of those too, but they ran him into the ground with a sore ankle, and then you got Darius Geis, who he ain't Leonard Fournette, but he ain't far behind either. Yeah. So, point being, and then you play Mississippi State, which has no offense, essentially. But I think they did do pretty well holding Texas A&M, though. And Texas A&M is pretty strong.
Really haven't had anyone impose their will on Auburn this year.
And I think that's the difference.
And I do, too. Even when you watch an LSU team, that if you aren't physical enough to match up with them, they can make you look bad. At some point, you miss these guys. And Mississippi State, for us to dominate them the way that we did defensively, had some turnovers, but they didn't do much. I think that's the biggest turnaround for Auburn to me is they're making bad teams look bad.
And I think that's what you wanted them to do.
That's what you hope to do.
It's funny how the season plays out, and you see at the beginning of the season, if you had looked at Auburn's schedule, you'd say, man, that's just – this game, and then it's Murder's Row. I think Auburn's schedule now has fallen very well for them.
I agree.
They play LSU at the right time. I mean, you'd rather play LSU when you played them than play them now.
I agree.
And then you get Ole Miss at a time when, Ole Miss eventually, if they lose to LSU this weekend and they're a 6-point underdog, they're going to be pretty crushed. I mean, they'll have 4 losses, and that's a good Ole Miss team.
It's a good offensive Ole Miss team. It's not a good
defensively, they're not great. No. But they're going to be pretty crushed. So Auburn's going to be coming in there on a good time. They get Arkansas at a great time.
Yeah.
After I've already mentioned they were crushed by Alabama at home, emotional, draining game, and Auburn's got an off week. Perfect time for them. You're going to play, Vanderbilt at home. That no longer looks like a cupcake, but Auburn, just like Georgia, Auburn should beat Vandy at home. I don't care if they got Zach Cunningham or not.
I agree with you. And the beauty of this for Auburn is I think those two teams that bode the biggest problem for them outside of Alabama, their defenses aren't very good.
That's right.
I mean, Ole Miss their defense is not great. Arkansas is going to give up a ton. I think both of those offensive teams will be able to put some points up on Auburn, but I think potentially we can get enough stops to beat them. So the issue for Auburn is when you match up with someone that can stop the downhill running game and you got to open them up throwing the football. We've proven we can be good efficiency-wise, but I haven't seen the game breakers, or at least I haven't seen the game breakers given the opportunity that we saw in years past when Sammy Coates and Duke Williams and the Auburn team able in the first half to put up 24 points against an Alabama team on the road. If we do that this year, I think we could stay in the football game, but I don't see us being able to hit the big plays at this point. Hopefully it'll change around, but right now that's what I see. And Alabama defensively, you're just not going to line up on them, especially if you don't test the edge and don't do some of the things with your quarterback that causes Alabama some problems. I don't know if they'll have problems this year, but that's what's been problems for them in the past. It was problems for them last year. I mean, Deshaun Watson, biggest question mark. what in the world's going on with them
it's
offensively?
And they should have lost the game. I mean,
Agreed.
NC State missed 3 field goals, missed one at the end. That was a chip shot, 33-yarder, I think. That was tough. Ohio State and Wisconsin. Ohio State looked very vulnerable. I still think I've heard so many people today, even on sports calls, say Alabama and then this huge gap. I think Alabama and Ohio State are still very close. I do. I think Ohio State is a dangerous team. They've got J.T. Barrett back there, whom I love. I would rather play Clemson than Ohio State, and I didn't think I'd be saying that coming into the year. I think Michigan, Ohio State at the end of the year is going to be a lot of fun, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to challenge either one of those. I thought that Ohio State would go into that game with 2 losses at Wisconsin and at Oklahoma.
Anybody else nationally scare you?
Nobody scares me, but I think Washington's tricky because you don't. They're out west. You don't know enough about them. They've got a good quarterback, Jake Browning, and they're well coached.
Yeah, I agree.
They've got some talent, but again, they're playing in a Pac-12, which doesn't appear to be all that great. They've, USC has turned it around.
Do have a coach though that makes it. He's the wild card.
He could make it interesting.
Yeah.
He'll put something together.
He's the Urban Meyer-esque before Urban Meyer went to the big program. I mean, you don't win the way he did at Boise, and you don't win the way that he is now at Washington without having a little bit of that special sauce.
I agree.
To be able to lead and get a team to that level because they're beating up people.
It would be really interesting for an Alabama-Washington game in the Georgia Dome. And getting that 1 seed is going to be huge for Alabama because even if they get the 2 seed, they're going out to Glendale. So there's a world of difference between playing in Atlanta when everybody in the world is going to go to that game who's an Alabama fan and playing out in Glendale. And I just went to Glendale last year. I can't go back to Glendale because if I go to, I'm going to be trying to save up for Tampa. I mean, Alabama's got a nice path venue-wise if they can keep the number 1 seed. But, there's a lot of football to be played.
Let's go ahead and take another break here on Sports Blitz Live. When we come back, we've got a couple of guests to close out the program tonight. But we'll do one more segment for you and then take you to the guests.
Purchasing a new home is easier than you think, and America's Home Place can show you the way. For over 41 years, we've built thousands of homes for people just like you. We guide you through the entire process from purchasing a lot, finding financial options, to putting the finishing touches on your beautiful new house. Come tour our showroom and see over 100 customizable floor plans. Visit us online at americashomeplace.com/TV for a free floor plan book. America's Home Place. We make building easy.
Boaters in the Lake Martin area know whether you need service, maintenance, repairs, a great selection of pre-owned boats, or a brand new Landau pontoon. Alex City Marine at the corner of 63 and 280 is there for you. Thanks to a record-setting sales year, Alex City Marine now has one of the finest pre-owned inventories they've ever had. Repairs, service, routine maintenance, for all your boating needs. See the pros the locals know. Alex City Marine at the corner of 63 and 280. Check them out online at alexcitymarine.com.
If you knew that underage drinking starts at younger ages than ever before, even in elementary school, you would talk to your kids about drinking right now, wouldn't you? If you knew that kids who drink are more likely to be involved in violence, school failure, or injury, you'd do what you could to prevent it, right?
Alcohol is a drug, and we need you to help us understand that before it's too late. Choose to refuse to lose your team to the dangers of underage drinking.
Meet the new Met of East Central Alabama, David Chabot. By new Met, we mean MetLife Auto and Home. With MetLife's 146-year reputation and David's 18 years of local insurance experience, you and your family get the best coverage rates and service for auto, home, life, or business. Ask about MetLife's Grand Protect policy. If your home were destroyed by a covered loss, MetLife pays the full replacement cost. No depreciation and no cap. That's the peace of mind that only MetLife can deliver. Meet the new Met, David Chabot of MetLife Auto and Home, 334-321-7250 or davidchabot.metlife.com.
Listen up. Save over $10,000 on Ram 1500 crew cabs during Ram Power Days. Lake Martin's Ram Truck Headquarters.
Buy it at Bice.
BiceChryslerDodge.com. You better hurry. It's the Jeep Celebration event with the biggest savings of the year on every new Jeep in stock.
Drive in for the savings.
Drive out with the win.
BuyChryslerDodge.com.
Choosing a new roof or having to repair your roof can be very stressful. Preferred Roofing knows when it comes to your roof, you need not only the best product, but more importantly, you need a reliable and trustworthy roofing company to install it. That company is Preferred Roofing. Working for both commercial and residential properties, you can trust our licensed and trained roofing contractors. Don't wait any longer. Call us today at 334-202-5483 or contact us on the web at preferredcontractorsllc.com.
This segment of Sportz Blitz is brought to you by Russell Do-It Center, offering a complete assortment of lumber, building materials, electrical, and plumbing supplies. Russell Do-It Center stores deliver first-class service, top-rate products, and competitive do-it-best pricing.
About 4 minutes left here, and then we'll move in. We got a couple of guests to close out the program tonight. I'm going to bounce around a little bit in the NFL as we close it out tonight. I'm going to start with Odell Beckham Jr. I thought during the interview, all the interviews last week, that maybe he had felt bad about the way he had acted a couple of weeks, and then he has the huge game. It's not a breakout game because he's been outstanding the last couple of years, but it's his best game by far this year. 222 yards, couple of touchdowns, wins the football game for him. And, buddy, he takes it up to a TO level this past weekend.
But he's got that wide receiver crazy about him.
Yeah.
You know, Chad Johnson was the same way. The Ocho Cinco fake proposing to people, putting on the Hall of Fame jacket. You know, Randy Moss was that way, you know, fake pulling his pants down at the Green Bay crowd. I mean, wide receivers are a different animal, man.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think they have to have you have to be incredibly egotistical because defensive backs are going to talk trash the whole time.
Yeah.
And you can say, well, what about Jerry Rice? Jerry Rice is 1 in a million.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't all be Jerry Rice. Des Bryant's the same way. I mean, you just go down the list. Steve Smith, Sr. And they go across the middle, Randy, and the ball's up there. It's one-on-one. They've got a lot of one-on-one, and defensive backs are the same way.
Here's a huge compliment for Alabama, and I give you some. I think I can be in the middle a little more than you and Brett can.
You can try.
Let me give you 2 huge compliments. The two of the best receivers in the NFL are Alabama guys, and they do not act like that in the least. Julio Jones, he can completely have his arm obliterated from the backside by Richard Sherman, where he can't make the grab. And he may complain a little bit, but he just goes to the sideline, goes back home and gets on his boat, which you saw this past weekend, and goes bass fishing.
Yeah.
And hangs out, and he's cool.
He's a country boy.
And Amari Cooper's the same way, man. He just doesn't say that much. They both got a little bit of that Jerry Rice mentality that they're going to show up out there, and they're good enough just to get away with it without having to show all of that.
You know, the thing, and I think you're absolutely right, okay, and sometimes a wide receiver can have it like DJ Hall did at Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, have that what you call swagger, and it doesn't play at the next level because if you're going to have that much swagger, you better have that much talent.
Yeah.
Julio could have, you know, he could act a fool if he wanted to. Everybody would be cool with it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's cool with Des Bryant. But Julio, that's just not who he is.
I know it.
And same way with Amari, it's just not who he is. Michael Crabtree's a little more that way, but I think that eventually Amari Cooper's going to end up being the best receiver in the NFL.
Can Cam Newton not help himself? I mean, what is
I
it?
don't know. Okay, and I was really proud. Again, I'm trying not necessarily get into the middle, but I'm trying to separate some of it. And I immediately went to some Auburn message boards to see, okay, how are they going to defend Cam Newton this time? And I would say 80% of the posts were, you know what, I'm sort of tired of this.
Yeah.
I'm sort of tired of this shtick. And I was right there with him. I mean, because what is wrong with him, Randy? He's got everything you could want. And he was at the top of his game, and they lost to New Orleans.
And he played outstanding.
He played pretty well.
Yeah.
And when they were winning, when he made his big comeback, it was all smiles and chest bumps and everything. That's part of being in the NFL is you got to learn to take the highs and the lows because in the NFL in general, it's a bunch of 8-8 teams. Yeah. They try their best to make it a bunch of 8-8 teams. Carolina wasn't that way last year, and they lost the Super Bowl, but they had a fabulous year. There's so many players that never even get to that point. And, I mean, he acted like a spoiled brat. It was really a shame to see him, because the NFL has tried to make him the face. You know, they've tried to make him the guy. And it's hard to grab onto a guy like that, just like hard to grab onto T.O. when he was acting the way he was. It was fine for T.O., I guess, and it worked for a while, but eventually the light's going to dim on that.
And I'm going to close out on this segment, and I know this is very random, but I watched Carlos Dansby out there play this past weekend, and I go, what separates a guy that can be in the league for 13 or 14 years playing linebacker from another guy that was as good an athlete, or you felt like was? I watched him this past weekend, and I caught myself going, is that guy still starting?
It's amazing.
Is it for real?
It's amazing. He has lost a step because James White beat him on a little wheel route, but Carlos Dansby's, I still remember he committed on Channel 6 out of Birmingham and out of Winona, and I remember sitting there hoping, okay, I want him to go to Alabama so badly.
Yeah.
Ended up choosing Auburn, and the rest is history.
We want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight. Got a couple of guests coming up here. We'll close out the program tonight with an interview that we did over at our longtime sponsors, the Sure Shot on Highway 280 in Alexander City. We highly recommend. As hunting season starts up, you go out there and you see the good people at the Sure Shot. For Luke Robinson, Michael Forehand, I'm Randy Lee saying thanks for tuning in to Sportz Blitz Live.
How expensive can kids really be? All they need is love, and love is free, right? They're tiny. How much stuff can they really use? I'm still gonna get a new car every year and take the best vacations. Maui, here we come.
Life can surprise you. So can an Allstate agent. Only they can get you 2 safe driving bonus checks a year, because every little bit helps. The good hands are doing more than ever before.
Call your Alexander City Allstate agent, Alice Palmer, to learn more today at 256-215-3833.
Do you know that C&T Electric offers a home protection plan for your electrical system? Are you wondering what this is or why you need one? Just like your heating, cooling, and plumbing systems, your electrical system needs to be maintained also. With C&T Electric's home protection plan, you receive annual electrical safety inspections, priority service when you call, discounts on all electrical services, and the dispatch fee is waived on all calls. Call C&T Electric at 256-234-0007 today.
Got your eye on a new Nissan? It's time to zero in on huge savings at Lynch Nissan of Auburn. 0% financing is back in a big way on many of your favorite Nissan models, but only for a limited time. Buy today and save up to $11,000 off MSRP on remaining 2016s as we make room for the 2017s. Get up to $5,000 off MSRP on the new Rogue SL or 0% for 72 months. Just click it and pick it now at lynchnissan.com. Lynch Nissan of Auburn, I-85 and exit 51.
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
When insurance agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop many companies for a better deal. Free to do what's right for you.
Did your team just win the big game? Are you looking for a unique way to honor a valuable employee? Lila's Engraving has you covered, offering a large selection of custom trophies and plaques. Lila's also offers cast aluminum car tags, custom engraved wine glasses, clocks, and wood cutting boards. They even offer custom framing for any art or picture as well. Lila's combines the best quality items with the fastest service around. With over 27 years of experience in the Alexander City and Lake Martin areas, Lila's Engraving is your only choice for custom awards and engraved gifts. Always remember, winners choose Lila's.
I'm attorney Dane Sharp. If you've been injured in an auto accident, don't choose an attorney simply because they have flashy television commercials and tons of billboards. Call a local attorney who can give your case the personal attention it needs and deserves. For over 20 years, I've handled hundreds of auto accidents, and I take pride in the personal service we provide and the results we obtain for our clients. So if you've been injured, give me a call today and put our team to work for you.
Brittany, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, many have deemed you as a breakout star, one of the breakout stars of the documentary. How has life changed since the airing of Last Chance U?
My day-to-day life is probably very similar. I mean, not much has changed just with the day-to-day life. I still work here at East Mississippi, raising my daughter and just doing the normal things that we've always done. I think the difference is that a lot more people care about it now than ever have. So just, the Twitter followers, Instagram followers, just the fans, the emails that I get, being pulled in a couple different directions, maybe with media interviews and appearances, speaking engagements, things like that. But my day-to-day is pretty much the same.
I got you. And so something that I'm interested in knowing is, do you feel the athletes and the community college athletic culture as a whole were represented appropriately in the documentary?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like they did a really good job of just portraying exactly what happened. There were no scripts. I never felt pressured to do something a certain way, or, plot lines weren't induced. I felt like they were just here capturing junior college athletics and how our year went at East Mississippi. And I do feel like it was a very accurate portrayal.
Gotcha. And something, too, you've previously mentioned a pretty progressive idea of providing sports as a major at colleges and universities. Could you give us a little more insight as to that and how you came up with this idea?
I just think honestly, I kind of feel like we're just behind in curriculum, and, I feel like it's kind of common sense. I mean, in every other degree program or in every other career field, students are able to major in that career field and really learn the ins and outs of what it is that they want to do. And I feel like we provide that in every other outlet except for in sports. And we make athletes who just want to excel in their athletic performance and who are going to make that a career, we make them choose something else. And, I feel like that's where the disconnect comes in between the athlete and their education, is they're being forced to major in something and being forced to quote unquote care about something that they really don't care about. They care about their athletic performance. They care about excelling in their sport, their bodies, and how their bodies operate within that sport. And I feel like we should maybe focus on allowing them to do that, and let's set them up for that small percentage of athletes that do excel and that do have a future playing at the next level, whether it is in the NFL, NBA, or overseas in Canada, or with the D-League with basketball, or minor league baseball. I mean, there are guys and women that do this, that play their sport for a very long time, maybe not in the NFL or NBA or in that arena, but they're playing it at a lower level and making money and being successful, but we won't allow them to major in that. We won't allow them to learn how to handle their finances or learn about being a professional athlete. And I feel like, we should revisit that and allow these athletes to really study what it is that they want to do.
And again, we're here with Brittany Wagner, who's the athletic advisor for the East Mississippi Community College Lions, and again, one of the stars of the Netflix documentary Last Chance U. And Brittany, what would you consider is the most important aspect of your job?
I think the most important aspect of being an academic counselor is just knowing your clients. I mean, knowing who you're working with. And they're not all the same. You can't treat them all the same. It's not a factory. It's not a football meal. And I feel like sometimes in this job, you can get bogged down with that, just your sheer numbers and how many people you're supposed to be helping. You can get bogged down with the paperwork and, covering your own self, rather than looking at them as human beings, realizing the experiences and the difficulties that they've gone through in their life, meeting them where they're at and growing them from there. Not expecting them to come in where you want them to come in, or act how you want them to act and then grow them from that point, but just allowing them to come in as they are and then bettering them from that point. I really feel like that is where we've lost. I feel like, academic counselors have kind of lost that ability, and there's so much paperwork and so many rules and so much documentation that has to be done in our job that sometimes we lose sight of the fact that we are working with human beings.
I got you. So that'll kind of lead us into our next question, somewhat of a twofold question. What would you consider the most rewarding part of the position and the most challenging?
Yeah, and I think that the fact that we're working with human beings is the most rewarding and also the most challenging. Obviously the most rewarding is just to see them succeed. And, I think the definition of success it varies. There certainly those players that go on to play at the next level and play in the NFL. I mean, certainly, that is a feel-good moment, and I love watching them on Saturdays and Sundays. But I feel like I've had more players that have been successful in other areas than I have that have gone to the NFL. Sometimes when they just pass that class or when they make an A on that paper for the first time, that's a success. I have a lot of athletes that have graduated and gone on to do other things, and that those are very successful moments as well. So those are certainly the high points. I mean, the low points of the job are obviously it's stressful. It's a lot for one person to do, especially here, having 200 athletes to one person, and then having the football team that we have and the success that they've had, knowing that this is kind of the last chance and that these guys are depending on me to help them get there. I mean, it is a lot, and you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. For me, sometimes the players are a lot easier to deal with than the coaches. And so it's just a balancing act, and the day-to-day sometimes can be pretty stressful.
And the reputation of the Lions prior to the documentary was pretty solidified anyway, but post-documentary, what has this done for the brand of EMCC?
Oh, I don't even think we're really seeing the full benefit of this yet for East Mississippi. I mean, I think we're a household name now, not only in the United States, but all over the world. This past weekend at Homecoming, we had our largest crowd ever. We sold out and had standing room only. I've never seen an atmosphere like that here. And we had fans from London, England, that had come, made their entire vacation around coming to Scuba to this game. There were fans from all over that I met, and I know I didn't even meet most of them. But, to have that, to have people loving our players and following our players. And, I think that, this tiny little town of Scuba and East Mississippi Community College will forever be changed because of Last Chance U.
Absolutely. And to anybody who's watched the documentary and knows that you looked like a natural on the screen, has this created any type of aspirations to do any acting?
It's funny, like some people have asked if I was real because I think they thought that everything else was real and that I was an actress. I'm not, and I've never acted before other than like a high school play. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm open to all possibilities. I don't know that I never in a million years dreamed that would be a possibility. But I'm certainly open to wherever life takes me from this point.
Yeah, and before we wrap things up, we're in the heart of SEC country here, and Auburn and Alabama in particular are usually going to dominate the conversation. And one of the players that you had the opportunity to advise was John Franklin III, and obviously you had the opportunity when Auburn traveled to Mississippi State to catch up with him. So first off, could you give us a little insight as to the actual person that he is, because I think he caught a lot of flack for just some of the things that we're seeing on the documentary that don't necessarily represent him as a person, and two, what was it like to be able to see him again?
Yeah, I think that you're right. I mean, I feel like I felt like it immediately after watching the show myself. I felt like the one person that maybe wasn't portrayed quite accurately was John. He is a very confident kid. I mean, he's confident in his abilities. He's confident in who he is as a person. I think his parents were very deliberate in raising someone like that was confident in who he was. And I don't think he should apologize for that. I mean, I think certainly, too, as an SEC quarterback, you should have some cockiness and confidence about you. You've got to keep your head held high and really be able to withstand all types of criticism. So I certainly, I hate that people felt like he came off as disrespectful to me, because I never felt like John Franklin was ever being disrespectful to me. I think that we just had a relationship where we both felt comfortable being open and honest with each other. And he felt comfortable, having a real conversation with me. And he wasn't, he didn't sit in here and just say, yes, ma'am, to everything I said. If he disagreed with me, then he spoke his mind. And I think that's okay. I mean, I think that's part of learning and growing into who you are. And I do think that there were moments where maybe you didn't see it on film, but when he would go back to his room, maybe he would think about some of the things that I said a little more closely. And, John and I have a great relationship. That relationship has been maintained since he left, and I think the world's getting it wrong if they're thinking that John isn't a great guy. Seeing him at Mississippi State was fantastic. It was the first time I'd seen him. So happy to see him and just see that he's happy. That smile lights up a room. So to see that, and his family was there, to get to see them and meet his girlfriend, and it was a great day. He also was here this past Saturday for our homecoming game. He came back and he was standing on the sidelines for that. So again, that was fun too, to get to see him taking pictures and signing autographs, and the Last Chance U fans, finally connecting with him. It was fun to see that as well. And he's doing great, and I couldn't be prouder of him.
All right, well, before we wrap things up, your Mississippi State Bulldogs, 2-4 after last week's loss to BYU, going on the road to Kentucky this week. What are your thoughts on the season and kind of the direction of the program as a whole?
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I think all Mississippi State fans are really disappointed. I think, when you lose a player like Dak Prescott, obviously, you expect there to be some drop-off and some issues there, but I don't think that any Mississippi State fan expected it to be like this. I certainly think there are a lot of problems much deeper than a quarterback. So got some things to fix. I have been picking Mississippi State every week, and they are killing my picks. So I honestly think I'm going to go with Kentucky this week. I just don't know. Mississippi State is just not looking good on either side of the ball. Kentucky, I feel like, has got a little fight in them. I went to a Kentucky game, the first game of the year, and their fans, are wanting a big win, and their fans, I think, are still rallying behind them. So I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go with Kentucky, and probably going to make every Mississippi State fan mad on that one, but we're just not looking too good.
I got you. Well, Brittany, we thoroughly appreciate you joining us here on Sportz Blitz, and we are congratulatory of you on the success of the program, and hopefully this transitions into something else, and if nothing else, we'll just be able to follow you and the lines and see what else you guys are able to accomplish.
That's right. Thank you so much. We're filming season 2 now, so you'll at least get to see me one more time on season 2, which hopefully will come out this summer. So we're excited about that as well.
All right, well, that's Brittany Wagner, the athletic advisor for the East Mississippi Community College Lions, and again, one of the stars of the Netflix documentary, Last Chance U. We'll take another break, and when we return, Brett and Luke will be right back.
Purchasing a new home is easier than you think, and America's Home Place can show you the way. For over 41 years, we've built thousands of homes for people just like you. We guide you through the entire process, from purchasing a lot, finding financial options, to putting the finishing touches on your beautiful new house. Come tour our showroom and see over 100 customizable floor plans. Visit us online at americashomeplace.com/TV for a free floor plan book. America's Home Place. We make building easy.
Russell Do-It Center and Russell Building Supply is locally owned and operated with over 30 years experience providing a wide array of lumber, building materials, hardware, electrical and plumbing supplies, paint, tools, and garden products. Our employees' superior product knowledge and top-notch customer service allows us to help select the best products that will work for you. We provide free product estimates and takeoffs, free local delivery, and ask about our price match promise. Russell Do-It Center and Russell Building Supply. Experience and knowledge from the pros.
Excitement awaits you on beautiful Lake Martin. Alex City Guide Service can provide you with a charter trip of a lifetime. Licensed charter guide David Hare has over 20 years of experience on Lake Martin, specializing in live bait fishing for trophy-sized saltwater striped bass, largemouth bass, and spotted bass. Call Alex City Guide Service today at 256-401-3089 or visit them online at www.alexcityguideservice.com.
Your comfort is our #1 concern. Advanced Heat and Air.
Advanced Heating and Air makes your comfort their priority for any season. Advanced Heating and Air is the region's Train dealer and an Alabama Power Superior Solutions dealer that can save you money and energy with a new electric heat pump. Advanced Heating and Air maintains the region's best service team, so rely on us to make your comfort our number one concern. Call 234-5052, and we're there for you.
Welcome to Short Shots by the Sure Shot, Lake Martin Sportsman's headquarters. My name is Woody Baird. I'm owner of the Sure Shot. Today we're going to cover handguns. We're going to have a little segment on handguns, and I'm going to give you a brief difference between the two families of handguns that we have and the different types of actions within those. The two different basic types of handguns are revolvers and semi-automatics. We'll start with the revolvers because historically and chronologically they were first. As firearm development came in this country and came across, the first cartridge guns that were developed were called single action guns. And the three actions within each one of the families, revolvers and semi-automatics, are single action, double action, and double action only. The first cartridge guns that we had in this country or the world were single action handguns. A single action handgun is what most of us remember or see, relate to as Western style guns. And these are all revolvers. Revolvers are called revolvers because they have a cylinder that revolves to bring a fresh round under the hammer each time, so you have a fresh cartridge to fire. Your capacity is limited, and in this firearm you have 6 rounds. It is a single action firearm, which means it has one mode of operation. One mode of operation means for it to fire you have to cock the hammer each time. One mode of operation, single action, have to cock the hammer each time. From that, we developed into double action revolvers. Double actions have 2 modes of operation. You can either cock the hammer like the single action, or you can pull the trigger. And there's 2 modes of operation. That's the reason they call it double action. So you can either, like I said, pull the trigger or cock the hammer. Then we roll to what we call the double action only. Now this is primarily what you're seeing for defense right now. It has one mode of operation. It's usually a small frame revolver where both of these hold 6 rounds. This one only holds 5 rounds. It's a revolver, but it has one mode of operation, double action only. You pull the trigger to make it fire. The hammer is concealed in here and it's covered so that for concealment carry, if you have it in your pocket, it'll come out nice and clean. The hammer won't catch on anything, the hammer spur won't catch on anything. And also if it's in your purse, it also comes out nice and clean. So you have one mode of operation. Most of the people this day and time, our largest segment of customers in the Sure Shot right now on handgun sales are first-time gun buyers. With the security situation the way it is in the country today, more and more people are deciding to carry a firearm for personal safety. So this is what we suggest for the inexperienced or the first-time buyer. It is very simple to operate, very simple to maintain, very simple to load and unload, and has one mode of operation. If you need it, you draw it out, point it, and pull the trigger. That's all you have to do. Now, those are your revolvers. In your semi-automatic handguns, and a semi-automatic, also known as a self-loader, we have the same 3 types of actions within the semi-automatic handguns. As firearm development increased in this country or came about, the first semi-automatic firearms were single action semi-automatics. This is what we call a 1911 style. It's over 130-year-old design. by John Browning. His first 1911 came out, his first gun came out in 1905. The U.S. military adopted it in 1911, so that's where it got the moniker 1911. But the way this firearm works, like I said, it is a semi-automatic firearm. The difference between revolvers and semi-automatics is when you fire it, the slide retracts under spring tension, ejects the empty case, and then goes forward and picks up a fresh round. And it will do that until it goes empty. Once it goes empty, it's going to lock back and show you that it's empty. You drop the box magazine. The ammunition's fed from a box magazine. Some people call this a clip. The proper nomenclature, proper verbiage is box magazine. It's not a clip. But you insert the magazine into the firearm with ammunition, drop the slide, and you will chamber a round and it's ready to go. Like I said, the 1911 is a single action firearm, which means just like with the revolver, you have to cock the hammer on the first shot. You cock the hammer, you take your first shot, and then it will work on its own, self-loading, until you exhaust the ammunition in the magazine, and then you have to replace the magazine.
If you currently have an FHA mortgage, this commercial is for you. Most people that currently have an FHA mortgage are working with Home Place Mortgage to refinance their current loan. Several items have changed to make now the perfect time to refinance. FHA has reduced the amount of monthly mortgage insurance. Current interest rates for FHA loans are at all-time lows. FHA has eliminated the need for new appraisal. Most people will be able to refinance with little or no closing costs. This is the opportunity that you have been waiting for. Call now to start saving.
Over the years, S&S Tire has grown into the Lake Martin area's largest volume tire dealer. S&S Tire offers the industry's best brand names: Michelin, Goodyear, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Firestone, and much, much more. The tire pros at S&S offer professional installation and the region's best price. In addition to your tire needs, S&S offers full automotive mechanical work for all your vehicle maintenance and repair needs with the area's most experienced staff. Visit either of our 2 locations on Cherokee Road in Ellick City or at South Street in Dadeville. At S&S Tire, we're installing peace of mind for every customer we serve. Every job, every day.
When you need plumbing service, call on the professionals at A&M Plumbing LLC. For over 20 years, our mission has been to provide the best possible service available in the industry, and we specialize in solving difficult problems. We offer a wide range of services, such as installation, service, repair and replacement of common fixtures, water heaters, toilets, faucets, drains, sewer lines, and septic tank pumping and cleaning services. Unlike many companies, our septic tank services include field line testing. Our knowledgeable staff will be happy to answer any of your questions. So call A&M Plumbing LLC today.
There is a strength inside you, unknown and imperfect, waiting. And when you think you have nothing left to give, when each obstacle in your path is more formidable than the last, that's when you'll find it. And with that strength, your greatness will have no limits.
What value would you gain working with Lee Marketing Group? With 4 divisions under one umbrella, Sign Source, Lee Apparel, R&B Media, and LMG Baker Advertising Agency, Lee Marketing Group offers a comprehensive approach. From logo design and branding to ad placement and everything in between, LMG can handle it all. For ease of time, cutting-edge, results-driven marketing campaigns, think LMG. Lee Marketing Group, your comprehensive marketing solution.